In this video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial from my group on how to cut this stylish blouse. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button. So to start this pattern, here is my shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waistline, and also my blouse length. So I added 6 inches to get my blouse length from my waistline. You can also add 7 inches or measure any blouse length of your choice. So from here, I'll mark my shoulder divided by 2 and I'll come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope of this dress. And if you notice, I didn't add ½ inch for the sleeve part. This is because it's an princess that bustier. Instead of tightening the shoulder, I'm going to draft it without adding ½ inch to attach the shoulder to the sleeve of this dress so that it will tighten that area. So from my shoulder slope, I'm going to go ahead to connect this. The next step is to mark my chest line, which is my bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. I'll rule a line at that point. After that, I'm going to place my tape and I'm going to mark my shoulder divided by 2 again. Now I'm going to place my ruler and I'm going to connect this all the way to the upper part of my pattern. Now after I'm done marking this, I'll divide what I have here into 2 equal parts. Here I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4 at the chest line. Now I'm going to place my ruler, connect from the ½ inch to the upper part, and also connect this all the way down to the armhole area. Now after I'm done marking, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches, which I'm going to mark this all the way to the lower part of my pattern. And I'm going to go ahead to place my ruler and connect. Now after I'm done connecting, I'll start by marking my dart. For a princess dart, I'll use ½ inch here, 1.5 inches, and for a busty person at the front part, I'll use 1 inch and 2 inches going to the armhole side. So let's say you're busty, you mark 1 inch here and 2 inches here. So after I'm done marking this, I'm going to place my ruler and I'm going to go ahead to draw a straight line connecting this all the way up. Now after I'm done connecting at this point, the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead, connect from the bust to the under bust, and I'll also connect at the other side of my pattern. Now after I'm done connecting at this side, the next step is to go ahead to connect from the armhole all the way to the bust point of this pattern. Now I'll mark ½ inch on both sides and I'll blend this out and also blend this all the way down. Now after I'm done connecting at this point, I'm going to go ahead, replace this ½ inch dart intake I took out by the armhole of the lower part of the dress and connect it back. This is because when you're sewing your princess dart, the side tends to be shorter than that of the center. Now I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. You can also go ahead to replace the dart at the side of your bust. Mark your under bust circumference divided by 4. Replace the dart intake. Measure and replace the dart intake and add your sewing allowance. Mark your waist circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and add your sewing allowance. Here, you're going to mark your hip circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake you have here, replace it and add your sewing allowance. Now after you're done marking that, go ahead to connect back your pattern. So I'll just go ahead and use my free hand to connect this. You can also use your pattern rule to do that. Now after I'm done connecting at this point, the next step I'm going to take to place my ruler and I'll come down by about 4 inches. So this is more like an off-shoulder princess dart, but with a very high neckline, which is towards the shoulder area. So you can equally use -4 to achieve this, and I'll go ahead to draw a straight line at that point. Now what I'll do is to go ahead to measure my bust dart. To get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17, while my shoulder to waist at the back is 15 inches. So if you remove 15.5 from 17, you will have 1.5. That is how I got my bust dart. So here you're going to join up that area, and what I'm going to do now is to start coming in to draw out the neckline of my dress. So you notice at the center we have like a little illusion net there, sorry, a little illusion net. So you can come in by 2 inches. Remember, whatever measurement you have here will come out double when you open up your pattern. Like if you use 2 inches, you will have 4 inches when you open it up. If you use 3 inches, it will come out as 6 inches when you open it up. Now just go ahead and start blending this out. So I'll connect this going towards the lower part of my pattern. I'll come down a bit from my under bust, because from the under bust we have a joining there, which is not an illusion net, which is actually part of the fabric. So I'll just connect. Now I'll go up by ½ inch from my waistline. If you don't want to do this by coming up by ½ inch from your waistline, you can maintain your waistline. So I'll slant this, blend in my dart to match up the other side, and I'll go ahead to connect. Now after I'm done connecting at this point, I'll just make a mark here towards the neckline for the illusion neckline for this dress. So after this, now I'm almost done drafting this pattern. Now what you do is this part, there are two ways to go about this. Is either you cut it out, or you mark out that area and use your plain fabric to create that pleated design on it. So I'll also explain that more at the end of this video. So I'll just mark out, let's say we are using 2 inches to 2.5 inches. You're going to mark this starting from the side to, from the upper part to the ending part of your pattern this way. So I'll just go ahead and cut out my pattern now. So after cutting this out now, I'll go ahead to explain the two ways which you can use to achieve the front part of this dress that has a design or pleats on it. And also, when you're cutting out the side, go ahead to blend out the side of your dart also when cutting this out. So I'll just go ahead to blend out and I'll cut out. So after cutting this out, we are now going to go ahead to work on the front part. Now I'll cut out the dart of this pattern and also the illusion area of this pattern. I'll go ahead to cut it out, and after that I'll go ahead to explain the front part of this dress. So to cut out this side, notch where your yoke will start on your pattern because of when you're joining it back. Now let's say you're joining this pattern, you can join these two together, then join your illusion. Now mark out like 2 inches starting from this part all the way down, or 2.5 to 3 inches. You can now take a black fabric and pleat to create that design you have on that point, right? Or you go ahead to merge up this pattern together and go ahead to cut out the area where you want this design to be on the dress. So I'll go ahead to cut this out now, and after cutting it out, you're going to merge it up as one piece, right? So what you do now is you're going to join this your pattern as one piece at the lower part, right? Now you're going to cut this, use it to cut it out, but you're going to add ½ inch in front at the back, which will serve as a joining allowance back. Now join this piece back, create the design on it and add it back to your dress, then add your yoke to it. Now going over to the back, I've marked out the basic measurement, which includes the shoulder to bust, waist, and also the blouse length. I added 6 inches after the waistline, like I did for the blouse length of this dress for the front. Now I'll start marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2, and I'll start marking this after my zipper line. So after I'm done marking this, I'm going to go ahead to draw out a straight line at this point. Now I'll mark ½ inch on both sides and then come down by 1 inch from the bust, and I'll go ahead to connect. After I'm done connecting, I'll also extend this all the way to the lower part of this pattern. Now the next step I'll take is to insert my measurement. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake place and add my sewing allowance. So after I'm done marking that, I'll go ahead to mark my hip circumference divided by 4 and also add like my sewing allowance. Now I'll go ahead to connect my pattern. After I'm done connecting this at the lower part of this pattern, the next up I'll go ahead to mark -4 inches from the shoulder. Unless you want this to be more higher, you can use like -3.5 inches and you're going to mark, right? Whatever you have should sit at the upper part, and from that midpoint I have, I'm going to go ahead, connect it back to the dart area, come in by 1/2 inch at the waist, and I'll extend this all the way down and also extend it up to the upper part of this pattern. Now after I'm done marking this, I'll just go ahead to cut this out. So for the back pattern, there's no much work on it. Then after cutting this, I'll cut out the zipper bulge and then go ahead to cut out the dart area and cut this out, which you're also going to join back. Now for the sleeve part of this dress, you have to measure from the front part of your armhole to the back part of your armhole. Attach like a strap before going ahead to attach your sleeve to it. So for the sleeve of the dress, is more like an off shoulder puffy sleeve that has an attachment at the lower part.